like you're in a group of people and they're talking, and somebody be like, "Hey, have you ever watched the Skibbity Pap and Peanut Butter podcast?" I'm like, "Oh no, I never heard of it." Man, you have to watch. You have to watch. And I've never
change your life.
I've never forgotten information so fast on purpose. The moment somebody else tells me about their thing, but I also be in a rush to tell somebody, "Hey, have you ever seen?" I do the same thing, and I just,
bro,
it's like a business card. It's like, oh no, yeah,
I know. I'm following now. See,
as soon as you get in the car,
Mike, you straight from the south side. Mike, I'm just so happy to be here right now. Real Rap Podcast.
And that's the best part, man. That's what I love about comedy. Because before this, like, I was doing like a lot of activist shit, right? So I was part of the BLM movement back in grad school and shit. So it was difficult to get my point across because it was like, as activists, hey, you do this, man, do that. It was like marching in the street. You know, nobody wants to listen to you. You know, he's trying to get to work and shit. So I feel like comedy changed my way of like saying it, like that old saying, you can attract more flies with honey versus vinegar type stuff. So
the activism stuff with the BLM. So I've been wondering. I've been talking to a couple of people about it. I think something that is dangerous with this connect, because these are the days. We all go to the same high school, essentially. When you got social media, this has people from 7 years old to 77 years old, all in the same cafeteria at lunchtime. It's just a 24-hour lunchtime, the biggest cafeteria in the world.
For sure.
When something gets hashtagged, right? Like or something gets, these days, when something's a statement, it's an automatic expiration date, in my opinion. Like, because the BLM movement, it was a feeling, it was a vibe. You had Kaepernick situation, you had Minnesota, you had police
Trayvon
things
Martin,
on
kind of
Trayvon Martin, everything. So now there's a vibe, there's a feeling in the air. And then somebody said it's the BLM, right? And as soon as you label it, now everybody can go, that. Am I for it? Or am I against it? And now it rides its wave, and eventually it's probably the natural progression, regardless if you name it or not. But I'll put it like this. I think one of the biggest prime examples was the Ice Bucket Challenge. You remember what it was for? Exactly. It started off as ALS, right? Lou Gehrig's disease. And then all of a sudden, Justin Bieber does it with a white T-shirt, so all the girls could see his, you know what I mean, his collarbone. Yeah. And next thing you know, not nobody remembers what it's actually for. And eventually, somebody goes, "That's fucking goofy. I'm not about to put no." And everybody goes, "Yeah, that is goofy."
It's done. That's the trend stage of it. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the interesting part, because like you said, with being online, like everything is for a cause until it isn't, right? Because people, it's like something happening, like the message gets lost, but the actual thing that you do is what's more important. And I think I feel like looking back on, that was definitely a missed part on the BLM movement, because like you said, Black Lives Matter in 2015, 2016, that was a statement. And then it became a rallying cry, and then became a organization or network. That's like the civil rights movement, right? Instead of all these black people that were doing a bunch of different stuff in their own way, organizing. You had SNCC, you had CORE, but then instead of saying, hey, we're part of this organization, we just say, hey, we're all civil rights matters, right? And now you're building a statement versus the work that you're doing. I think BLM got caught in that for sure.
Yeah. And then no matter what organization it is, if people are involved, everything isn't gonna be 100%. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then once it's riding that wave, you couldn't touch, pick an entertainer, pick whoever got canceled or had some scandal, right? There was always a point in time where their powers were too strong.
Yep.
You was never going to take them out. And then as soon as their music wasn't hitting no more, their movies wasn't selling no more, their books wasn't nothing no more, and they started losing some of their powers, that's when that's when the scandal started bubbling again. You know somebody from this very city that he was blowing how many R&B albums for years, decades. The whole city,
no stopping.
The whole city got stories on this cat. Like, yo, I saw him in the parking lot at my high school. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then you know that first album that didn't go platinum.
It's a wrap.
Netflix, and then it's a wrap.
Talent, man. Like, I still believe, I forget who said this. I know I didn't say it, but whoever said it makes me really think when I think about it. But man, your talent, if your talent is big enough, they will accept whatever like deranged or twisted stuff that you've done, depending on how big your talent is, right? Like, it's probably safe to say the guy from Chicago, his talent was superseding the things that made us kind of question it. Maybe he shouldn't be doing this, but I think a lot of times once we hear the music, once we hear their gift, it's like their talent is big enough to supersede that for the masses. I'm not saying everybody, because I'm pretty sure back when he dropped his best work, somebody was saying he was doing some wild shit.
There was.
The noise wasn't as big as the noise for
and
his
I don't know.
art.
Help me out, because now I'm starting to feel weird, like almost guilty. Because when the tapes originally came out, I was still in high school.
Yeah.
And I knew everybody knew, and we all giggled and knew, but there wasn't anything in me. It just kind of passed
by.
It was just like a thing that happened. I was like, okay, but it's almost like it didn't hit me until later that I was like, that was really bogus.
At the time.
And then listening back to some of his music now in context, I can't do it anymore.
It's
me
hard,
personally, there's some that it's really
writing
hard
it down. This just happened.
Yeah. Oh.
I think after, now I was a little bit younger, but he did the tape came out, but then right after he faced backlash, didn't Trapped in the Closet come in?
Trapped in the Closet wasn't for another few years.
After that, I thought it was after
the
that
tape came out.
I thought it was me. Let me give him
my
something to the
whole
people.
high school, everybody saw it, and then after a week or two, it was Yesterday's News, and then he dropped another song, whatchamacallit, I Believe I Can Fly, probably came out. Everybody was watching Jordan and Bugs Bunny and them,
and that was my kindergarten. That was my kindergarten graduation song. That's the crazy part. Like, so many people listen to that song. When kid, I remember getting my college, not college, but my kindergarten diploma for that shit.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, we are back. Another episode, Real Rap Podcast. I told y'all, man, I was keeping them bubbling right now, man. I'm booked out for the next 3 years. But today we have esteemed colleague. I think it is actually his second time on the show. He was here. He was one of the year one guests. Comedian extraordinaire. I was actually there like in the very beginning of his comedy, back when he had the locks. Chicago transplant, Kadeem Fuller, if you wouldn't mind saying hi to the people out there.
What's up, people? How y'all feeling? Good to see y'all.
Yeah.
Which camera? Which are we?
They're all recording at the same time.
What's up,
yeah,
y'all?
yeah.
Good
But
to see y'all.
that's your main camera right there.
Got you.
But to dive back into the conversation we was just having, are you able to make it to the absolute heights of your industry if you don't have something equally for your talent to be A+ status? Do you also have to have the balance of something dark that is also A+ dark? Because you look at some of that, Elvis, Roman Polanski, Kells, Jackson.
So many.
Tyson. You can run down the line and you're not gonna run out. And I'm not talking just really good at what they do people. Who was the guy on House of Cards?
Oh, Kevin Spacey.
Are you telling me? When I saw Seven, there's not too many horror movies that get me spooked. I watched Seven. There wasn't a boogeyman. It was Kevin Spacey, and he was on the camera for 4.5 minutes in the entire movie. I was scared. I ran home from the movie theater top speed, bro.
We gotta go.
Is it something like if Joe Jackson didn't put his entire size 11.5 square in Mike, Jermaine, Reba, Janet, Tito's ass?
I love them.
Would there have been a Jackson 5? Would there have been a Velvet Rope? Would there have been the King of Pop? Would there have been a Blanket?
like the ending. Was it beer blanket? What about was it Bubbles?
Can you have somebody reach the absolute pinnacles without balancing it out with something equally as dark?
I don't think so, man. So how I see this is, absolute power corrupts absolutely, right? So the fact that in this, if I'm grinding, right? Let's take entertainment. If I'm grinding, I'm probably at some point I got morals. Like this is right, this is wrong. But the further you get up that ladder, the less fame. I mean, the more fame takes over, right? I can go a little bit further than I was, when I was a nobody. If I'm an A-lister, there's certain things I think that's why I feel like people get warped because even when we talk about so many different assault cases, she wanted that. No, did she want it versus your star power was too bright to see that she didn't, right? And I think the further you get on in that success, there's so many people that have been through there and the gatekeepers of that profession, right? These people are gonna be like, you're good, right? Until that level of success starts to dwindle, and then we see, I think, a lot of those stories that kind of were littered throughout their whole path of getting to that point.
Yeah.
Now it's starting to take over because number one, it might have been that underdog story, right? Oh, this person's rising. We like them. We're rooting for them. And they, I feel like everybody who's in that world knows how to keep that secret, right? They're used to being in the public eye. They know how to present a certain way. So at some point when that talent starts to dwindle, that's when you see a lot of those different people coming in. Like actually, 10 years ago, he did this, 20 years ago, but nobody was hearing those stories because they was the underdog. They was on their way up.
Yeah. I think we live in the gray area, but we remember in black and white.
Yeah.
And I mean, speaking to your point, you have good intentions going into it. I think that's a majority of politicians. You go in and you might, especially if you're a first time running for whatever it is that you're doing, you go in with the best intention. I actually do want to fix the potholes.
Make change.
Red light cameras are crazy. We need to stop the war and pick a place. And then you get in there and they go, all right, so check this out, bub. I'm going to give you $10 million. I don't need your $10 million. Tell you what, I'll give you 20. Shut your face. And by the way, at some point in time, I'm going to come and ask for a favor. And that's just how it's going to be. What if I don't want your $20 million? Guess what? Now it's 50. And you should really stop talking now. I mean, speaking of politics, today's January 13th. 1 year anniversary. Old buddy getting shot in the ear.
It's been a year already?
It's been a year today.
Damn.
What do you think the world looks like an inch and a half to the right?
I think we're looking at a black woman president. I don't know if J.D. Vance would have been able to be that person to defeat Kamala. I think it's so hard to beat Trump in a way that because he has all the means, right? For somebody who's 85 or 168 years old,
right.
The way he's able to use social media, or his team is able to use social media, is crazy, right? Because at that point, man, he was going on Rogan, he was on Theo Von, like that was a certain kind of thing.
Which I didn't understand why the left didn't adopt for that particular campaign run. It's gonna be, you're not gonna be able to not do it going forward, but to be a step behind during this last campaign cycle cost that side dearly. And on the right, they did adopt it. They went on all of them, and there was a lot of sympathetic people on the right that were like, "Come on in," and created a wave. But to not go to, you got to buy coffee. To not get on, like those podcasts and whatnot, and still do what, like legacy media, go on CNN and all that other good stuff.
Man,
that was a mistake. That's
streaming. Like he was on the Aiden Ross stream. Like that's how you get the young. Like, and I think for somebody to be younger in terms of her approach, but I also think that was a certain thing. I was excited about it, but also I think the moment felt like it was right. But I don't think in retrospect this was ever going to happen, because I think it was her as a black woman, but also it was a connection to Biden. I don't think she was able to separate, hey, forget about that last one. This is me. These are my thoughts. It became like another extension, and I just think people were tired of it. And Trump was talking about so many things that were new, and doing the whole con thing, grifting. Yeah. We're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, and people fell for the okie doke once again.
What's your take on the latest with the Epstein files?
I think his name is on there, bro. Like, you can't be on no. You can, bro. You like, there's so many pictures. See, like, you just can't, like, bro. If you going to a private island, bro, just to hang out for a couple of. What else are you doing? You drinking a water?
You don't think that would have came out by? I think so many people got a target on Buddy's forehead that if there was even one of his fingernails in one of the rooms, it would be all over everywhere right now.
With the rap.
Yeah.
Rap. And I wonder if, because then that begs the question, like, yo, what if there was a lot of other, like, Democratic leaders that were connected to Epstein too,
there's a lot of everybody.
Yeah. So imagine if Trump wasn't president, his name wasn't as big, would he have used this as political fodder to get somebody else out? And the answer is definitely yes. So I think he burned it just because I don't know to how much extent. Maybe he went for a couple of times, maybe he went every weekend, but I think there's something to, what's on those files and just getting it away.
Trump's hands ain't clean. His hands look like camouflage. But you know what? One of my favorite things about being in green rooms with comics is you talk. They have that thing where they say, don't talk race, religion, or politics. Everybody does it anyway.
Exactly.
But usually in green rooms, most of the time with comics, you can actually say like what's truly on your mind, and we kind of just flow with it with less judgment than say the average person working at whatever.com. So I've been kind of wondering this out loud, right? Might not be popular, but I'm not necessarily taking a side. So they had the Epstein list thing come out, or the people involved were like, we have the list. We're going through everything. We're gonna put the list out. People are going down.
They hyped it up, bro.
That was January 1st.
Yeah.
Then February 2nd, they were like, all right, we're still looking through. We're gonna get you guys some updates. To TTYL, right? Then comes like March, April, and they're like, it wasn't exactly what we thought it was. And then a week ago, they was like, you know what? He killed himself for sure. That minute that's missing out of the video happens all the time. By the way, there is no list.
No file.
There was no crimes committed here. We're going to keep that other girl in jail just...
shits and giggles.
She shoplifted back in like high school, so she's going to get 20 years regardless. And all right, guys, have a great day. Now, here's what I'm wondering, right? If there's... And tell me if I'm missing something. There's one or two options. You actually do release the list. It has names that make everybody go, wow. And all of us get to go online and go, you see her? That's the bad guy. Lock him up. And then we all feel good. And then in 2 weeks, it's yesterday's news. And whatever CEO, whatever diplomat, whatever emperor, they get locked up and that's it. Or... if you have this list, you're in the government, the highest levels of the government, which is as dirty a game as you could possibly be in. Not just America's government, global government. We're dirty, they're definitely dirty, right? And you have this list with names, and you probably have content on these people on this list. Now, do you release it to us so that we can point our finger and go, you're bad, lock them up? Or do you knock on Prince what's-his-name's door and say, hey, check this out, man. So we went through, we found this. Look at that, that's you. And that's your name right there. And here's the records. And here's you with your thumbs up in the picture. You remember when we wanted to like build that mall in the middle of your country? And you was like, nah. I was wondering, can we do that now? And instead of us paying for it, would you mind paying for it?
I can see that. For sure. I think politically, it makes sense to do option number 2, but at the same time, if we got pictures, then who's to say they don't have pictures, right? So it's one of those.
It's a lot of that going
some
on
game,
all the
like
time.
zero-sum game. If you spill yours, I'm gonna let them know who. I wasn't by myself. I saw your president there. A couple years ago. So I think it's like a mutual destruction. But I think the way that Trump has always operated, I'm a man outside of the political realm.
That was his whole, I'm draining the swamp or whatever.
So it makes sense. And it for them, I think it's crazy because I think it takes so much for a MAGA person to realize, shit, maybe he is kind of full of shit. Just the fact that, if he wasn't on those files, he would have put it on Twitter. He would have put the list on Twitter. He would have had the name associated with the Twitter, but the whole thing. But I just think it just shows like we're never gonna see it unless we have a whistleblower. We're never gonna see that because it's connected to him.
Yeah. But it almost feels like, because I mean we're in the biz, the game, right? And if you have a comic, they might be funny as hell, right? And you produce shows, you definitely produce shows, and you definitely brought me out on shows. Man, make sure you support Kadeem Fuller. He's a solid dude. You do put on marijuana shows. I have never done good at a marijuana show. because they're just catching the premise from the first joke. By the time I'm on the punchline for the third joke,
hella delay. You see people just like, damn, like you ain't hearing shit I'm saying.
But if let's say you have a particular comic on your show 3 times, and this comic produces a monthly show, has a podcast, and they never invite you on, you're gonna feel some kind of way because there's supposed to be an exchange, right? Yeah. And it's I think for what you were saying earlier, I think there is. I think that country over there has stuff on people over here, and now they're playing. You know what I mean? Now they're playing cards. Man. It is a dangerous game.
But I think it's one of those things that's probably been done since there were countries, right? Like this idea of getting what I need from you by not sacrificing what I have. So here's a blackmail, here's a scandal. There's so many different examples of that, and I think it's one of those things. This is just another example. Like
when you're in charge of something, an organization, a household, a football team, a junior basketball team, a whatever. How much information do you give all the way down? If you're the principal at a school, how much do you tell the janitor? How much do you tell the teachers? How much do you tell the vice principal? The vice principal, you tell them probably 95 to 98%. Because you need their input, you need their this and that. You keep 5-10% to yourself because you're the leader, right? And the janitor gets to know what days he could take off during the week, and if he's got overtime, you know what I mean. The kids, you just show up and do what you. But you in a government position, and I'm not making any excuses for the government. I'm not walking down the beach hand holding with the government like that. But there's certain information I don't need to know.
Yeah,
I don't want to know
for your life, right?
Yeah, and in a lot of scenarios in my personal life, there's certain things I don't want my mom and dad telling me everything. I don't want to go to, well, maybe if I'm going to a comedy club, I want the promoter to be like, yeah, man, we about to close our doors. Drinks ain't selling. Didn't ain't nobody show up for the. It's like, you could have told me that before I drove out here, bro.
Exactly. Are you closing tonight? That's what I need to know, right?
But where do we draw the line on what the government can tell us?
I definitely think when it comes to public safety, I think when it comes to a lot of different things, it's hard because it's like if the power is already up top, right? So I will let you know what you need to know. Maybe you do need to know, maybe you don't need to know. I set those rules, but I definitely think in terms of public safety, in terms of like things that are impacting people's livelihood, right? But I think that's why people don't trust the government. Because
you can't. They're not to be trusted.
Even if I tell you what's happening, the fact that there's things you're glossing over, right? Yeah. There's things you're not mentioning. So who's to say, what even is real when you talk about those things? But
sure. It's that gray area that we're living in. I'll give you an example, right? I was a horrible high schooler. I went to high school 5 years, 2 summers, got expelled twice, the whole 9. You name it, I did it, right? Yeah, I appreciate that. Damn. And for whatever reason, I took the ASVAB. I never took the SATs. I took the ASVAB. I got a high score, and I ended up getting a job in the Air Force that was way too important for them to put my black ass in.
Oh,
right?
Really? Damn.
I was a satellite systems operator. Flew satellites. This was before they made the Space Force. The job I had turned into the Space Force now. And I wore like a flight suit. I had a secret level security clearance. It took me a year to get it because my past was so troubled, right? And I'll tell you a quick story. I'm not going to give out government secrets, but I am going to talk about
government. Give me something.
I am
Mike.
going to talk about government secret stuff. So I used to have this shift when I was in. I worked in Colorado. I'll skip the base, and it was Mission Impossible 6. It was James Bond to get on the base. Like if I can't even tell you the security stuff I had to do to get on the base, but it was high level movie stuff, real life. And my schedule was 6 days on, 4 days off. I worked 2 days, 2 swings, 2 mids, 4 days off, come back. And every time we came back from our 4 days off, we would get the secret level news, right? There was one event, and this is back in the early 2000s. There was an event back then where a ship got blown up. I'll leave it at that, right? And I saw it on the news during my 4 days off. When we came back, and we had to sit down for our secret security briefing, they talked about that same situation. And so what the news had was 30% of the story, right? When I came back and we sat down for the secret briefing, I got 65, 70% of the story. Now, I only had a secret level. My pop was Air Force. He had a top secret TS or whatever. So yeah, top secret SCI or something fancy. My pop had high. Gotcha. And I'm sure he got that same story with probably 95%. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And what it reminded me, and I used to really not like those briefings because they dove so much further past what the news would say that it was spooky. I started getting paranoid and anxious because what I ended up realizing, you remember the first Men in Black? Mm-hmm. At the end of the first Men in Black, Will Smith was like, "Yo, what if the Kardashians, Kryptonians, come and try and blow us up next week?" And what's his name?
Agent
K.
Mm-hmm.
K was like, "Oh, hey, Slick. There's always a Kardashian, TD Jakey aliens. There's always something coming to blow us up and do this, that, and the third, and woo. That's what it is, Deem. There is always something. We just don't hear about it because we're squares, we're civilians, we're here, we're just living our life. There's somebody right now, doing work in his mom's living room, and she doesn't know how the lights are getting paid. Christmas, forget about it. Gas money, the heat's off, and she's trying to figure out dinner tomorrow. It's not like she could sit down and tell the kid that, you know what I mean? Because she's gonna try and scrounge tomorrow, right? Yeah, so I'm wondering, like, what do you tell? Like, do we need the Epstein list?
For me, I still, as far as the Epstein list, I definitely agree in terms of like if there's some, because like you said, military-wise, there's always something going on, right? Clinton, defense and stuff like that. So I don't know if we need to know that in the fact of like when we're looking at like the 80s Cold War, right? It was a threat of that like total annihilation. Yeah. But as far as the Epstein files, I do think that's a little bit different because I think the way they hyped it up, right? They use it as a political bargaining chip for their guy, right? Like he's gonna release all these things, he's gonna do this. So now that your guy's on it,
we're doing the aliens, we're doing JFK, MLK, we're doing the Epstein list, we're doing ham, grits, bacon, you name it,
everybody. Because now you've hyped it up to the point where it's your base is asking for it, is your opposition's asking for it, and now we're just gonna dissipate it into the wind. Like, bro, now like you playing with me now because nobody asked for those files before y'all. Well, people were asking, but y'all gave it life by going through this rhythm and run. Like, we got the files, it's on my desk, waiting on y'all to see it, like taking pictures with it. Like, come on now.
It's I think if there is
also,
anything,
Mike, my fault, bro. I can't hear. Is that normal? I just want to make sure I don't want to mess. It's all if you can hear it. I don't.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Like in
the gains is turned up.
Okay.
Yeah, we're picking up. Say something.
What's up?
Oh, that's why. All right, it should be a little bit better.
Okay, yeah.
You can hear me now?
Yeah.
All right.
Is that gonna mess up the rest of the?
No.
It's just for me. I didn't want to be talking and nothing. Like, damn. Yeah, this is much better than I can. Got you.
Okay, bet. Yeah, man. It's something I do want to ask you about. So you talk about it on stage, or else I wouldn't bring it up. So you grew up. You said you had disabilities.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So speech impediment and some hearing. Yeah.
Yeah, man, but I didn't know how bad my hearing was until I was a grown ass man. So I would.
No kidding.
Yeah, I would, man. But grew up in a black house in the South, bro. If I wasn't listening, that was my ass, right? So I got whooped so many times for not listening. You need to listen, you need to do all these things, and I'm thinking like my shit is like my left ear is like 60%. And then my left ear 60, right ear like 40% like gone.
Yeah.
So like there's certain things I could never hear, right? Lower tone like frequencies, like if you like had a lower voice, like Barry White, people love Barry White. I can't listen to a thing that nigga was saying, right? So shit like that.
You like the girl off of Creed.
Yeah. Good as shit, bro. That's how it was. Like I'm learning, so that was the process. And I didn't get hearing it until like maybe 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
So I had lived my whole life thinking like, yo, everybody
That's
just can't hear certain things.
That's wild. And I have yet really to see. Now I've seen bullying for sure, and I've seen some pretty wild stuff, but a majority of the time, 9 times out of 10, it's not movie level bullying. Mm-hmm. But were you bullied for these things when you? Because speech impediment, junior high school, and high school. Yeah. Is next to the internet the only thing that's undefeated when it comes to F your feelings. Weezy F baby and the F is for F your feelings.
Fuck your feelings. That's what it was, bro. Like it wasn't. I didn't really get bullied for my hearing. People just thought I was like, you just can't hear. Like, you ain't listening, right?
But if you talking to your buddies and you go,
it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
People start roasting. I just backed away. Let me back away because as soon as I can't even get to my roast before I start stuttering, because the fucked up part about it is, bro, like when I get excited about something, that's when my stuttering starts.
No kidding.
So when I get excited, people don't want to hear that shit.
Did you get segmented in class?
Yeah, bro, I had to take a speech class. I took a speech class to like 3rd, 4th grade. And I tell this on stage, but they don't. When you go into those type classes, they don't say it's like a different type class. Yeah. They would tell me I'm going to enrichment. So I would be hella excited. I'm going to enrichment class. They're gonna do flashcards without worrying about how we say shit. My friends were like, "Kadeem, you going to the slow class?" Like, bitch, I ain't going to no goddamn slow class. And then I started to see the people in my class. Like, oh, this might be a little bit of the slow class.
Bro, I'm not gonna hold you. I was in sped class for half. I want to say it was the second half of my 6th grade year.
Damn.
Because I was doing so bad. We was in England at the time, Poplar Station in England, and I was doing so bad in this lady's class. I can't forget her name. I didn't like her, but she ended up segmenting me. First thing she tried to do was separate me from the class. So everybody was in their seats and rows, and she put me in the corner, and there was a desk that had like super dividers. They had like prison walls, like not even see-through. I was off literally by myself, segmented. I couldn't interact with none of the other kids.
You were just here, like in a goddamn cubicle.
After that didn't work, she gave me the 3-strike rule, where she said 3 strikes. She would call my mom. My mom would have to leave work, come pick me up. I think she did that twice, and I couldn't. There was too much. There was too much on the back end of that. So there was one time where she gave me the 3 strikes, and she was like, "All right, now go to the principal's office." And at the time, Pop's military. He's off fighting somewhere. He's
right
in another country.
Around.
Yeah, and mom's is at work, and I'm like, I'm not doing this again. So I didn't go to the principal's office. I just hid somewhere in the school and then waited a few hours, tried to get on the bus at the end of the day. And one of my homeboys got on the bus. And look, the little known fact, even though we was on a military base, we was in England, all our school buses was those double-decker red buses.
Them tourists?
They was kind of fly. But I get on the bus, and one of my guys comes upstairs. He goes, "Oh, shit, Mike. Yo, everybody's looking for you, man. The police here, your mama here."
You thought you was gonna low-key just slip out?
I tried to crawl into the couch cushions, bro. I was like, I'm not doing it.
My mom, the police.
So I went to the office, whole big drawn out thing, and my mom, love my mom. number one woman in the world. And she was like, yo, I can't do this no more. She wasn't feeling the teacher anyway. She was a rigid little whatever. And she don't take me out of school. And the only option for me not to get expelled was I ended up going to sped class for like the second half of the every day was construction day. You know what I mean? Like they was like, like the activities you do in class for Thanksgiving, every day was that.
Finger paint,
all the glue you could want. You made the little cardboard circle chains. We had a fort in there, bro. We used to bring in toys. It was I cannot remember that teacher's name. She was taken straight out of 1971 hippie. She was the grooviest. I'm pretty sure she was growing mushrooms in that class.
Like an art teacher
she just
today.
Loved yeah. Had like a twig holding her hair up. Butterflies used to land on her finger. So yeah, man, I had my spare time, bro.
So let me ask you, was the issue behavioral or was it like academic?
It was behavioral for me. I didn't have anything. So I got like my folks tried everything to figure out what the hell was wrong with me. So I got diagnosed with ADD. They put me on Ritalin back in the day.
Gotcha.
And then I was on Ritalin for however long, and they ended up taking me out. The side effects on that are bogus, man. I know people take like Adderall now, like on purpose. So that they can write songs or finish their homework or whatever.
Yeah.
But for me, when I was that little, and bless my mama's heart again, because she put me on it, and I was getting some real bogus side effects, and she was like, all right, we can't do it. We're just gonna have to deal with this tornado. And but I couldn't tell you what it was. School was like, wait, the only thing I got out of school was there was everybody around, and I was like, oh, all right, mission for the day, make all of y'all laugh. And the teacher
comedian,
was like,
that was your curriculum.
Teacher was like, it don't work like that. But then you listen to like Jim Carrey stories, and he was like, yeah, one day the teacher made me a deal: do your homework, be quiet in class, and I'll give you a half hour at the end of the day. I didn't get none of them deals.
Yeah, they won't get
you.
You.
They weren't trying to see me shine.
So, I wonder, because a lot of times I feel like there's so many students. Was it ever? So I'm just curious in terms of the work that you were doing. Were you smart in doing the work? It was just like because sometimes my brother was like this, where it was a behavioral problem, but because he was bored in class, he knew a lot of the stuff. Was that for you, or you just like you didn't know what was going on?
I'll tell you this: if you sit me down right now and go, hey, Mike, here's all the planets in the solar system. Read it real quick so you can remember it, and then tell me everything you read. It's only 10 pages. It'll sit there for the next 4 months. I won't read it.
Oh, damn. Okay.
But if you just sit down and talk to me and say, Mike, the solar system is so vast. Time and space are the same thing, and it compresses, and that's why things spin, and we're moving at 800 billion miles an hour flying through in the next Andromeda. If you make it interesting to me, fuck your little 10 pages. I will spend the next month and a half learning everything I can about it. Yep. But if you point it out to me, and if I'm not excited about it, and you just try and force feed me information, nah. But I love knowledge. I'm a very curious person, but I want it on my terms.
The disconnect.
So yeah. I never could figure out school for here's the information, here's the parts you got to remember, here's the test. Good luck to you.
I think that's it's interesting that it was in British schools or London or English based schools versus America too, because there's this idea that some fucked up idea that each kid you can teach the same way, right? Like here's this model. It's even worse now with studies and like making sure you teach for the test. But like there's this whole thing, Pedagogy of the Oppressed by who wrote that book? I forget the name, but the name of it is Pedagogy of the Oppressed. And the author makes his claim that there's this banking system, right? This idea that if you import certain things to the students, they can go on and, live productive lives. You just have to teach certain things without realizing, bro, there's so many different people who are different. Some type are visual learners. Some people are auditory learners. Some people need to have things in their hands while they're learning. I think a lot of times schools aren't really understanding understanding that, and I think that's why a lot of behavioral issues happen. Specifically, I think within the black community, because a lot of times you don't have black teachers teaching. You got white teachers and students not interested in learning. Maybe you're just not interacting with the way he needs to be interacted with in order for him to understand the shit.
And hats off to all the teachers all over the world, especially the good ones that are really trying. They don't have an easy job neither.
It's rough.
Because it's how many souls in their class that they're in charge of their safety, their knowledge base, keeping people in line. I'm not special. There's always one of me in every school, let alone every class. And there's always somebody that's the top of the class that's doing everything right. And it's like, all right, if I'm a teacher, how do I divide my time up against this knucklehead that's about to do nothing with his life? And this person that's overdoing it, that I need to help them shine so that they can.
Everybody in
and
between.
And everybody in between, and you got to try and divvy all that up, and then still have your own life. Let's say hard. Well, were you in the teaching field?
Yeah. So I got a degree in higher education. So I was doing like a lot of back when I was interested in, I was doing like a lot of college to prison programming. So once students
college to prison. That's the first time I've ever heard of that program.
Yeah, college. So it's basically
college
prison
in prison.
To college. It's prison is post-secondary correction education. What did I say? College to prison.
Congratulations, you graduated, you piece of garbage. Turn around, put your hands behind your back. Stop resisting.
Oh shit, bro! Nah, yeah. So post-secondary correctional education. Once students who use the Pell Grant while they're in prison in order to get a degree. So that's kind of how I started in education. But now I'm in. I'm not in education now, but it's one of the interests I have.
But at a time, were you working with people in the prison?
So I was part of a program. I was doing like a lot of the back end stuff. I only went to the prisons a few times, but I was supporting in terms of like research and stuff when I was in school.
That first time you went to the prison, tell me about that.
Man, it was a different experience because I've never been to a prison in general. So it was the way.
Were you nervous on the way, like you was getting locked up?
Bro, I was on YouTube how to make sure.
You was watching
YouTube videos on like what happens in prison. What I'm trying to teach. So
what was that show that you said back in the day? Scared Straight.
Beyond Scared Straight. I binged that shit. This was gonna be like
with peanut butter or syrup. I prefer jelly.
That's because I had no idea, right? And it was like a lot of ignorance on my part because like I had family members to go through, but I've never, was directly connected to it. But so it was like some program where we would watch movies and then discuss for this particular day. It was like it wasn't part of like the curriculum, but we would just have students come in, read, not read, but watch a movie and talk about like the symbolisms and stuff like that. And man, it was some of the best conversations I've had, bro. Like I used to go to grad school at U of I, and like I had more stimulating conversations with those guys because I think a lot of times people see you went to jail, you locked up, you're not smart, but I'm not sure about that, man. Like some of the smartest people, some of the best philosophers are in prison, right? Because they have nothing but time to think.
Exactly, and it can be a gift and a curse. There's very few people that get out of that situation and get to turn it around because who turns around anything? There are people. I think everybody does turn some things around in their own lives, but the big, like your actual ABCs, 1, 2, 3s,
philosophy of your life.
That's very hard because there's only so much that's in your control. We're also slaves to our environment and the people in our network, and that can keep you in the thing, man. Like that was one of the things that probably scared me the most when I really got on board with not drinking anymore, was missing out on that entire, you know what I mean? That door that opens up into the world of having a party. It's just what happens. I'm a maniac. I don't have. Everybody else, most people have a dial. I got a switch. It's on or off.
Yep.
Everybody else can just turn it up to 7 on the weekend
and be good.
And be good. And then Saturday night when they leave the club, turn it back down to a 2. Have a beer on Sunday while they watch the game. And I'm like, nah, buddy. Tuesday, lunchtime.
I'm out. I'm on.
Minoko.
Switch it on, baby. It's been almost the weekend.
But that used to scare me, is that missing out on the other side, and then trying to navigate around that. And then really there's not a whole lot to be scared of, because there's so many rooms I'm already not a part of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That just happens to be another one, man. But that fear of missing out can like really influence people.
Dangerous, bro. Because that's at the end of the day, we were talking about social media earlier, but at the end of the day, like, we're social. We want to be connected to something. We want to find our people, right? And I think a lot of times there's so much going on, and those vices makes it easier, right? Like I can be this person when I'm drinking because it's maybe a heightened version of myself.
Sure, yeah.
Versus, going in and this is just, I think those things are harder sometimes, especially in that environment.
Yeah, and it's just if you're responsible with it, it's just a good time. Loosens things up, brings down some barriers, especially if you're around other people that are doing it. But that's the same for anything, right? It's going to be the same for anything communal that you're doing. If you're in a bowling league, or if you're in the yacht club or whatever, everybody there is like, oh, you think like me? We do the same thing. I can pull down my guard a little bit and engage and da 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 da. Do you think?
Oh, let me ask you a question. Do you think, in terms of, because I've always had this idea that I don't think I have a quote unquote addictive gene. Do you think that's something where no matter what, it could be drinking, it could be smoking, it could be, like you said, bowling, when you get addicted to something, it consumes you? Do you think that's a thing versus something else that made you become that excessive drinker?
I think it's one of the cards in your hand when you're born, because I use the example a bunch of people have. Michael Jordan would have been the Michael Jordan of Xerox. Michael Jordan would have been the Michael Jordan of if Michael Jordan was on the corner of 47th and Indiana with a newspaper, and there was other people out there washing your windshield with a newspaper, Michael Jordan would be the number one
best at it.
Newspaper wash your windshield squeegee guy. He'd make $27.33 a day, an hour probably, because he's that good.
Because of that gene.
So my thing is, and I do this. You were asking about like how I was in school or whatever. I'll go on a run where all I can do, listen to audiobooks, read regular books, just dive into knowledge. It'll just be my whole feed. It'll just be TED Talks or whatever. And then I'll go on a run where it's just a month and a half of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And listening to some jokey podcast or whatever. I'll overdo something in large chunks and then move on to the next after that. So I think it has to be to mostly a degree. I think you have to have a predisposition to it.
Yeah.
Because I cannot understand people that just pop a beer or have a glass of wine at dinner and then all right, my nose is starting to tingle. It's Harry, would you grab Reginald? It's time for us to make our escape. It's such a lovely evening. It's like, wait, what?
Like, you just stopping. Like, I've had
What
enough.
do you mean? There's still a whole bottle.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, last call ain't for another 3 hours. Like, we just getting started, baby. Like, I don't get it. And the other thing is, it wasn't performative for me when I was drinking. My drinking was private.
Oh, which is
like,
a whole different level.
So yeah. So if we're going out to a spot, Mike, yo, you on the show tonight, or we about to go kick it at the bar, baby. Get out of it. I would be at the house. I'd have a half a plastic pint of vodka. And like a Monaco, I'd smash that so that I could feel like, okay, I gotta be the Mike that these people expect me to be, funny and just say anything and be crazy. So let me go ahead and get that face on. Bow, bow. Then I show up at the thing, and now it's party time. Everybody has drinks. I'm buying the first round, bitch. And I felt like I had to pregame to be the guy I thought I was supposed to be, to show up with y'all to drink, and then we get done doing that. I'm going to go back home, and on the way, I'm going to pick up another half a pint and start that process again.
Got you. So in terms of that, right? So say there wasn't a a social aspect to it, right? Like it's a weekend. You're not expected to be Mike, right? To be on. How would that kind of shift the drinking then, right? Because then is it just drinking for something while you were there, or was it the people or was it always a social need to be the Mike?
It definitely helped with social anxiety for me. And then when I'm drinking by myself, it was all for depression. It was all things that I couldn't show my full face to myself on. You know what I mean? I was hiding. Yep. It's really hard to hide from yourself. I'm stuck in my own skull. So the best way to do it is just drown it as much as possible. And as soon as reality starts to creep back in, give
me the bill. I feel it now.
Yeah.
Drown
and
shit.
Thankfully for me, at a pretty early point, I knew well enough, like, oh, you got that thing. Don't try this. Don't try that. Don't do this. Because you're going to like it. Because everybody that does it likes it stupid. And guess what? You're going to die. So
this is more of the harder stuff, right? Outside
more of the harder
drinking.
stuff. And even the socially acceptable harder stuff, I was like, oh, no.
One vice.
Because you guys don't drink like me. So I know you don't do that like I'm going to do that. And forget about it. That makes sense. Yeah. And
most people know that vice, though. That's the interesting thing. Like people who have there are people with multiple addictions, but I feel like if you find your thing, that's just it. You don't want to change it up a little bit.
Can you have like a drink like is it like, all right, I'm Kadeem, I'm at the bar, it's 10 o'clock, and once I get started for the rest of tonight, it's on and popping, or is it like
that's what I'm saying. I don't think I have that gene when it comes to certain things, right? Because alcohol, like I'm not a big alcohol drinker too, so I'm just a social drinker. Like I have liquor in my little bar at the crib I haven't touched in months, right? Like if I'm going to a show, an event, I might have one or two, but at the most 3 is my limit. Like at 3,
you got a limit. That is bananas to me, bro.
Like I'm not gonna be out here. I got things to do.
That is
I got
bananas
3,
to me.
And I'm like 2 most of the time. If I'm going to a show, 2 with the 2 drink minimum.
Yeah,
that's me. That's my maximum. So.
Wow, that blows my mind that you could even put like a limit on it. Somebody before I quit drinking actually told me this. He said, it's sure it's a common phrase. He said, 100 drinks is not enough, and 1 drink is too many when you're an alcoholic. Now, it connected with me because I was like, hell yeah! Once I get started, we on this train, bro. We riding it out, man.
You're here.
Yeah,
is so. How did you handle like the blackouts, the hangovers?
I didn't have too many blackouts. I mean, a handful, if that. As far as like hangover, I would just start drinking again. I was drinking, and I was never a beer guy. I didn't understand beer, so I would just be on the little fruity drinks, and like the fruity drinks in the can. They make them in
like the sangria,
Kool-Aid. Everything's a Kool-Aid flavor now. Or like hard liquor. And then I was drinking so often that I couldn't afford top shelf, so I'm drinking damn near moonshine. You know what I mean? So
and your tolerance goes up.
But my alcohol addiction at the time was it was tied to basically every aspect of my personality.
What you mean by that?
Even like I'm about to call somebody, a family member, and I want to have a heart-to-heart to them. They're going through a hard time. I'm going through a hard time. Whatever, pick one, right? And I wanna say what's on my heart. Now, my social anxiety is like, man, keep that shit. I'm a very quiet person in general.
Right.
I don't go telling my business to a lot of people. Everybody's my inner circle. My inner circle is like 2 cousins, my nana, and it might be 1 person that I'm not related to that I can download a majority of my stuff. And then there's a handful of close comic buddies that I could tell a lot to, but not really
everything.
Not getting like to the inside.
That's fair.
So whenever I would want to like download on somebody, all right, let me loosen myself up. And I would just, I would grab a drink. Now I can tap into my emotions or tap into my doo-doo-doo and feel more free to express myself on an emotional level. Because that's another thing, man.
Yeah.
I don't know what spectrum I'm on, but I'm on at least a couple of spectrums. My emotional. I read this book, EQ. EQ 2.0, emotional intelligence 2.0. And I had never actually put that into perspective, because you have IQ, intellectual quotient, right? And then you have emotional quotient.
Yep.
And once I read that book and I just looked out, I've always had a theory that the great battles, specifically in hip hop, it's always style versus substance. Biggie, Pac. Style, Biggie. Substance, Pac. Nas, Jay-Z. Style, Jay-Z. Substance, Nas. Drake, Kendrick. Style, Drake.
For sure.
Substance,
For sure.
Nas. And the way I look at it that way is, now you take IQ versus EQ, right? IQ, Drake. He's going to get the Spotify spins. He knows how to put the hook together. He knows that singing's going to bring in the women. He knows talking about his exes and saying, I did you wrong, is going to make the women not only listen, but download it, like it, play it over and over and over again. He knows what to wear. He knows who to sign. He knows who to feature with. He knows how, da-da-da-da. Very intelligent brother. I'm sure you could take his songs to a college and they're going to be like, he put the exact right words in the exact right places, hit the exact right frequency on his melody at the da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Kendrick, emotional intelligence. When Kendrick talks, I feel, I don't listen.
Yeah.
I can listen to Section 80 or pick one of his albums. He always has at least 1, 2, however many songs on there that I feel in my heart. The Heart series.
Oh, the Harper, yeah.
Come on, bro.
You can't beat that.
It's like Marcus Garvey talking to you or something like that. Mega Evans or having a speech. You know what I mean?
It's outside of how you can't even process this all here. You feel it.
Yeah, and you could even take that to comics. There's some comics out. Tony Roberts, one of my favorite comics in the entire world. I don't listen to Tony Roberts for emotional intelligence. He's gonna say some wild stuff that's gonna make my stomach is gonna hurt, bro. Listening to Tony Roberts. But then you go and you listen to Dave Chappelle. I haven't heard Dave Chappelle tell a jokey joke. No, this is no shade whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I can't tell you the last time I held my stomach and laughed at a Dave Chappelle joke. But I listen to it and I go, oh, I feel you, Dave, on what you're saying. Oh, you broke that down. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Shifting perspectives versus like just a more so a gut reaction.
Exactly.
I for sure see that.
And
okay.
I try and I desperately want my comedy to be more emotionally intelligent than just joke. I used to have this joke when I first got to Chicago. It was like one of my openers, but I thought it was strong. It's garbage. But I used to say, especially when I first moved here, like I've been in Chicago for a month and a half, and some dude tried to rob me, but I didn't let him because he was wearing skinny jeans. It took him forever to pull the gun out. I just walked away. And it started getting laughed. But you know when, if you fall out of love with a joke, even if it was getting big laughs before, when you don't love it anymore, the audience picks up on it and they're not hitting on it anymore.
Like, what are we doing this for?
After a while, especially if I go to like Jokes and Notes and tell that joke, they're listening to it in the beginning. And then when I hit the punchline, they're like, oh, you're telling jokey jokes.
They don't want that.
Got you. Because then pick a name. All the heavy hitters used to go to Jokes and Notes. They're going to go up there and my kids and this and that and my mom and them and these do. And people are like, oh, something I can grab onto and hold. You're telling me about yourself. I got that. Yeah, you. Boo.
It's easy. And you can see it when it happens, right? Like newer comedy, even though jokes that we write, like you can tell, like this is a joke that I did for a reaction. This isn't my life. I did this. It's just, I think this is what would be funny. And most of the time, it is a clever or funny joke, but the real always hits. And whatever your truth is, whatever that is, right? Like, you ain't got to be, there's certain, and I also think that too, where there so many people who's trying to go for a same trope or a certain extent. Because at one point with black comedy, it was like the Def Jam South Side comedian, right? And that was all that the industry allowed. We want this type of comedian, and then it became the alternative black comedian, right? So now it's like, oh, your Hannibals, the people who do things in a different way, where it's still good, it's who they are. But I think now it's like this is only what we want. So it's so hard to be a black comic who do against a status quo outside of those two lanes. Sometimes
the status quo is crazy, and that's dope that you brought that up. There was, and you brought up Hannibal as well. There are so many of those rooms, and again, no shade, because that's just how life goes.
Right.
Depending on where you are, what room it is, where that room's located, not just in Chicago but everywhere, there's gonna be a vibe that you should probably pay attention. Read the room.
You have to.
it. And there was, speaking of Hannibal Buress, I was talking to a very powerful person for a club, an owner of a club this is way back in the day. And the owner said, yeah, Hannibal's would never do good in my room. And I was like, oh, break that down. And the owner was like, yeah, well, this room is this, and they like to hear their comedy this way, presented this way, this style, this rhythm, this woo-woo-woo. And they were like, yeah, Hannibal's funny, but it's not going to translate in here. And I took that to heart, because I'm also, for this particular room, in this particular setting, can I go in there and do good? Yeah, but it's going to be a crapshoot, because I can dance to that song, but I ain't gonna be able to keep the beat the entire time. Yeah. Like the stars got to align for me to walk in there. In any room, if it's just one solid anything in any room, it bums me out.
It's tough, man. Like I said, that's not taken away from any. But once again, I think the best comedians who are so in tune with who they are can walk in.
Yes.
And no matter what, but that takes a certain level. I wouldn't even want to say a certain type of comic, certain time, who you are, know who you are, no matter what room. And sometimes those moments where you feel like I have to be this, like you said, with the addiction, I have to be this type of person, and you forsake who you normally are, and the audience might have rocked with you, right? Because
yeah. And I am not ashamed to say I have tap danced a time of 12 in my life, and I felt dirty. I felt dirty before, during, and after.
You doing this shit.
And by the way, I ain't even talking about sharpshooting for the man. I'm talking about I'm on 100 and something, and I'm like, let me go ahead and dust off. Let me dust off this Def Jam set. Let me dust off this Showtime at the Apollo Ready set.
Get it with the dog. Women be shopping.
First thing out my mouth, I ain't scared of you, motherfucker. And the whole crowd looking at me like Carlton Banks. You get your ass up out of here.
Because I think that's the thing, right? Because like you wanna connect with these people, but you don't wanna. The room. Sometimes you walk into a room and you can tell just by the energy. Oh, I don't even think these people gonna fuck with the jokes that I got. Right? You can. I've been in rooms where you can just feel like it's like a mug.
Oh,
like,
as soon as you step in,
start doing this shit, you know.
Yeah. Big shout out and a rest in peace to one of the Chicago young goats, Ken Flores. Oh yeah. I pulled some gigs with him, and I could tell, and it was gigs obviously before he blew up, because he skipped town. But he's like one of those people, and they come by once every what did Django say? Once every 10,000. But he was one of those people where I could tell you, like, he never made a switch. Like there was a time where I ran I did a few shows with him, and we did one show at a restaurant. I'm not saying this was a place that had a stage and some seats where people would eat their wings and whatnot. I mean, there's a restaurant, and they just cleared out some space in between tables.
That's your
and
face.
It was like here, right here. Like, there's people eating spaghetti and meatballs behind. You know what I mean? And There's a bar. It's big as shit, and everybody's not there for comedy.
That'd
you
be
know
the
what I
worst
mean?
room, though the hardest room.
Yeah,
too.
you know, it's a whole section of restaurant right here. Then there's a bar island in the middle. Then there's a whole nother side where people are just living their lives, having fun. So the energy isn't even concentrated.
Right.
There's no spotlight. There's no DJ. It's just one of those little summertime barbecue amps and a microphone stand and a thing and a good luck. And he went up there and he crushed. Because he was canned the entire time, like you know, and those people, you can recognize them really early. You know what I mean?
Quick, and I think with him.
By the way, I was not one of those. I'm not one of those people. Like I gotta work.
I gotta look at my joke. I feel like Kim was just so naturally gifted to the point where there's so many people who've tapped into your persona and knowing who you are that can make anything funny, right? Ken was one of those people. You get this man the most. If you give Ken time to talk about the shit, I don't know, just the Korean War, right?
Yeah.
He would find a way to make that shit funny.
Yeah.
That's just the type of how his brain worked, and it's one of those things where all you can do is just let that motivate you.
And then, not to talk out of school. But to take it back to what we were saying earlier, he obviously had, you know, something dark that balanced out such a great talent.
Yep.
And it ultimately cost him the biggest thing that you have in this world, which is unfortunate. Mm-hmm. But his star shined so bright and so quickly. He went from 3 open mics, 2 shows, and then was making $1 million a month.
That rise was insane. But the most humble person, bro. I remember it was a couple months before he passed. Like I said, I knew Ken. We weren't that close, but when I see him, I would say what's up to him.
Earth,
And that's what I was saying. We was at Laugh
Bro,
Factory.
there's some open micers that are still open micers that are working on their first hour. Why?
And
that are really Hollywood.
Don't talk to me. But Ken, we follow each other on Instagram and Facebook, but I was asking Ken, like, yo, you know, you going to LA, you're in New York, asking all these questions. Then he stopped, like, hey, bro, I heard you know, you doing some shit too. What you got going on? Like, bro, compared to you, I am, you know, sitting on the couch. But the fact that he was able to ask about somebody, I think the people, that's what's gonna carry you, right? Like Ken can be the funniest person, but the thing that's gonna keep his presence alive is the way he talked to people and treated people. There was still people who knew Ken, who rocked with Ken in a way that like just made, as big as he was in terms of his star power, making everybody feel connected, and he was so down to earth, bro. That's what remains after your legacy, right?
What is it? When you see some, I've seen it in people, bunch of times. I could be talking out the left side of my ass cheek. I've even felt it on occasion. You're just caught in a moment, and you're, I know what you're talking about. You oh my God, the gal that wrote Eat, Pray, Love, Elizabeth Gilbert. Mm-hmm. She wrote Eat, Pray, Love, but she ended up doing a TED Talk. It was tremendous TED Talk. I have to listen to it at least once every 3 months. And she opens up with, hey, everybody's been wishing me like best of luck to you because my greatest success has already happened, and I'm probably never gonna do anything ever again. And everybody's scared for me. And she starts going into that it thing and talking about it, and taught me something too, where she says like when you're watching a soccer game and all those people are saying ole 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 ole, it used to be back in somewhere in Africa, there used to be like the dances that were done over the fires, and every once in a blue somebody would like transcend like human physicality, and they would be, from all the people watching, they were possessed by God. And their movements were no longer anything that they thought about. Their body was just moving in magical ways, and the crowd would start shouting, Allah, Allah, Allah. And then through time, it just moved its way into ole, ole, ole. But that's where the chant came from. But she talks about that, and the it, because when you see it, Right? Well, Dave Chappelle hit on it on the Chappelle Show back in the day. He was like, "Yeah, when I ran up on Rick James, Charlie Murphy was talking about it. He said he just had the orange
Or around it,
glow. I know your algorithm has to overlap mine at least a little bit. So you get a ton of basketball and whatchamacall and people talking about the good old days and this, that, and the third. And how many stars? Allen Iverson's like, yeah, I saw Jordan and that orange glow that Charlie Murphy was talking about. He had that. But then there's another dude who's like, yeah, I met Allen Iverson. You know that orange glow that they was talking about? He had it. And you see somebody, can you define what when you say it or you see it? What is it? What is it that you think you're seeing?
I think for me it's just the greatness of your art, of your talent, with the gracefulness of doing it in that particular time so flawlessly, right? When it's just like, it's so hard to,
because there's something about somebody that has it, somebody that's important. When they walk in a room, you sense it. They don't say a word. They might not even have an entourage. It's just an air about them. It's a silent confidence. It's the way they hold themselves, the way they dress, the way they stand, the way they look around the room. It's just isn't there something like unexplainable?
Bro. And I've been thinking about it because Ken definitely had it. Just this idea that someone who's so comfortable on stage being them consistently, because I think, we can have those moments, right? For me, it might come, I do okay most of the time. Sure. I do maybe 2 sets, I do eat dog shit, right?
Yeah. And
then that's 2, a good, 6 times is going to be a decent set. I ain't gonna mess up the show, but those 2 times or 1 or 2 times when it's just like, okay, I feel like time is standing still.
This is out of my out of my hand. Where is this coming from?
These aren't even my jokes right now. I'm adding things, I'm doing things, and the crowd is. I'm so in tune with the crowd.
It slows down. Like I get time to pick options. All right, do I want to say A, B, C? I'm talking while I'm doing this too. Just A, B. All right, let's go with C.
You can see people laugh. You can see you. It gets so bad. Like I can see. I'm gonna talk about this man's glasses right now.
Yeah.
He got some in his wallet. What is that? He got some in his pocket. It's like that type of awareness.
You have of course you have taken a piece of paper, balled it up. There's a small trash can across the room. Mm-hmm. You throw it. A majority of the times you throw it. Is it going to go in? Is it not? You'll probably hit 6 out of 10, right?
Right.
And every now and then you throw it, and the moment it leaves your hands, you go, ugh. But every once in a blue, from the moment you ball it up to the moment you flick you don't even, the hole could be exactly as big as a piece of paper. And before it even leaves your hand, you don't even question it. This is going in. I'm forcing when Neo like flexed and the whole world bubbled around him.
Yeah.
There's moments what is that when you grab the piece of paper and you ball it up and you throw it and you know it's going in, you don't have to question it. Yeah. Where does that come from? Like what is? Because that is it.
That's it.
And some people can stress that out. Jordan literally stressed it out for an entire career.
Whole career. But I think for me, bro, that's God, bro. That's God giving, highlighting his image, or the fact that somebody's so in tune with what they should be doing. That purpose and alignment is kind of like connected and centered and consistent, right? Because we all have those moments of like, I don't want to say God-like, but being the presence of God, right? Like I could equate that to if I have an amazing set for 15, 20 minutes, like, oh, I felt that, right? But the next day it's going to be hard to capture. Those people who can harness that and capture it, it's like, bro, for them, it's like I'm just doing what I need to be doing. But for others, like, bro, this is inspiration. The fact that you're resisting so many different things right now, to be on stage, to be in a basketball court, to be playing football, and looking so graceful while you're doing it, I honestly think that's the inspiration, bro. The inspiration of greatness.
And I'm not trying to step on you. I'm just going off the feeling based off what you said, because you did mention God, and I definitely think you have a valid point. The higher power, whatever it is for you, and definitely, God can. I do definitely believe that people can feel that and channel that, right? What about for the dirtbags? What about for Woody Allen? Woody Allen, by the way, left his wife so that he could marry his adoptive daughter that they picked up. I don't know. Shorty was like 2-3 years old from Cambodia or something like that. And he is an Oscar-winning playwright, director. All those names that we were saying earlier at the top of their field. Now, I live on the north side now, but I've been in the city for 13 years. 10 of them, I was out south.
Got you.
And whenever you're out south, it's Sunday right now. Oh, they playing cows.
Yeah.
They playing loud on the speaker with the door open, doing household cleaning. Yeah. He had a tremendous run. Gift you can't believe, let alone the songs he wrote for himself. How many instruments did he play? How many other people's songs was he writing on?
Featuring, singing, writing.
Gave him enough time. He was writing movies as songs. So talent doesn't. I mean,
that's an interesting point. I think that's a valid point. I think it's still. Because then I still think those talents are God-given, right? Like, no matter what, even if these people are horrible, right? Like, people always say, the devil was the best angels, right? Like, saying, like, he was able to do so much, or they were able to do so much. I think in terms of that talent, and that's why we have those conversations, can you separate the man from the talent, right? Because sometimes it's hard because we see this person as so talented to the point where they can do no wrong, but it's still that inspiration, man. Like, I hate to say it, like I can think R. Kelly's a horrible human being. I think that, crazy type shit, but you still have to acknowledge the talent that he had and understand he was still a fucked up individual.
Yeah.
Which is hard to do, and I think some people can't necessarily do that. And I don't know, man. That's a good point. I gotta think about that a little bit more.
Yeah, it's everybody. I don't know. Do you think like that's one of those? Well, all right. So going back to something else we had said earlier, if I feel myself internally, I was born with an addictive trait. Now you can look at other personality types across the human race, right? There are definitely some people that say, hey, I was born a woman. I just happen to be in a man's body.
Right.
I was born this. I just happen to be, I was born with this trait, that trait. Do you think people are born inherently ready to be bad? There's another book, because also everything's from our own perspective. Right, literally every individual, we have our own. There was that book. There was that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People.
Yep, I got that.
It opens up with the criminal that was making out with his chick in the car, and then the cop comes up and says, "Aren't you Smooth Kiss James?" And he's like, "Hey, Cat Daddy, I'm just having a time with my old lady." He's like, "You're getting arrested." Buddy took the cop's gun, shot him. Then he got 5 stars on GTA. He had to run to the library. They shot his ass up, and the last thing he did before he bled out was write, "I was minding my business, and this stupid cop came over, started harassing me. He tried to shoot at me, so I took his gun to defend myself. All of y'all is bogus. I never did nothing to nobody. Signed, Sweet Kiss James. I love y'all."
I'm out.
Now, for all intents and purposes, he was a criminal. But from his perspective, he was like, "Hey, bro,
I wasn't doing nothing."
Even if he knew himself, like, I am kind of bogus, but he's not going to present that way. Do you think people grow up with, if I'm saying that I was born a comedian, I was born an addict, I was born this, that, and the et ceteras, are people like born evil? And there's somebody out there right now with driving a city bus that really wants to blow up everybody in it, but he just fights it every single day.
I think, to answer that question, so I don't believe that people are born inherently evil, right? I don't think people are born exceptionally good either. I think you mentioned this earlier, like those nurture versus nature, right? Your environment matters, right? Like I said, I could be like, I want to keep using like Jeffrey Dahmer, right? Looking at the video, looking at the Netflix thing. You saw clear as day how it kind of impacted, how his family impacted, the parents' relationship impacted, how he was able to see the world and his hobbies and things like that. And I think if there was an intervention of a grandmama, baby, come stay with me for a weekend. Come stay with me. Somebody showing him some type
Football
of love.
coach.
Yeah, something to give that person a different perspective. I think a lot of times we're left to our own devices. We're left to so many different factors that can swing us in that negative direction. Because there's also so many examples of, football players. Yo, man, I was in the streets. The coach, like you said, told me to come play football. Yeah. Now I'm taking this greatness or this energy that could have been used for bad, now it's being used for good, right? So I think it's vice versa, right?
I think I'm on the same wave as you, because I think it is there, but depending on the journey, it can definitely get moved. Because I'll take, for example, so I do like check out like some military podcast stuff like that. Definitely like special forces stuff that really interests me. Hearing these guys' stories about they do some wild video game stuff, and there's like a lot of Navy SEALs that'll talk about stuff. I take a look at those guys because they have something in them that I was born a comic. If I worked at Walgreens the rest of my life, I would be the funniest dude stacking peanuts, and I'd probably just spend all day trying to make my coworkers laugh or some random shopper say something real quick, right?
Right.
John Jones was born a fighter. If he worked at that same Walgreens, he would have fought a couple of coworkers, probably knocked out the supervisor and some late night shopper that said the wrong thing, stepped on his gym shoe. It's in him. He might not have never found the UFC, but he would have been a dude that was laying people out and doing everything else that he's doing regardless, right? Those people that made it to like the Navy SEALs, that thing that it takes to do what they do, march for miles, swim for more miles, hop out, and then pop out, Now, you take somebody local, R.A.P. to King Von, right? He had the same
mentality.
The same makeup, the same. I don't know Shorty whole background or how he was raised, and there's no shade whatsoever. But if that spirit that was in his body happened to grow up in a military family, he had everything it took to be a special forces dude. From the thrill seeking, the adrenaline addiction, down to being able to take it all the way. And you take any one of those, a lot of what I end up hearing about from those Navy SEALs when they talk is, and this is not just the Navy SEALs, this is people that work at the FBI, the CIA, and all that. They say a lot of the same things. They say in order to work here, to get picked, and to be successful, you have to have sociopathic traits.
You got to.
You have to be able to lie without flinching. You have to be able to not consider anybody else's feelings. You have to be able to steal at the drop of a dime and not feel bad about any of it. Also, by the way, when you go out there and you save the world, you also have to be able to shut the fuck
up.
Right on up. Ain't nobody gonna throw no parade for you. We not giving you a gold star, pat on the back. And if you die, we never heard of you.
We don't even know what you did.
We'll take care of your family.
Yeah.
Somehow. Quietly.
Yeah, I think that's interesting, especially with that, right? Because like it's the same one-on-one, right? Like it's the same people, niggas in prison who've killed people is the same in my mind with the government, just state sanctioned, right? Like I'm killing for someone versus just killing someone, right? So it's the same characteristics. I think it takes, like you said, that discipline in order to kind of use those different sets of skills, I guess, without a better way for you saying it, for the greater good, right? Greater good versus your good.
But then also, that's that gray area that we live in, that every person on the planet lives in the gray. But when the moment you step away from that situation, looking at it from the outside, it's black and white.
Yep.
Well, hey, did you if you're shoplifting, at the moment you're in the gray, I ain't got no money, my kids need to eat, this, that, woo, woo. Matter of fact, I just need to sell this I need to steal this so I can sell it. When I get my money, I get my stuff back together, and I'm gonna come back here in 3 months, and I'm gonna pay this guy $100 randomly and tell him, hey, just trust me, I owe you, and then do, and it never fucking happens. But that's the gray area that you're living in, and as soon as you walk out the store with the merch, it's now black and white. You just stole some shit. But for you, it's in the context of your life. For me, watching, you just stealing shit. You know what I mean? Like I don't know your intentionality and none of that stuff.
And that's the hard part, right? Because that's that intentionality versus what you meant for happen, what actually happened, right? There's so many examples of that, like you said, going shoplifting or doing certain things like to hurt someone in order to save someone else, right? Because nobody knows that context, right? Because you might have hurt somebody to save somebody, but the context for the person that you hurt, family, you just hurt. So that's black and white, right? And the people that you just saved, you're a hero. So you can be a hero or villain, and that's that black and white area, because in that gray is where that moral compass lives, right? Did I do this to impact somebody? Am I a good person, even though I've thought about all the outcomes? Outside of your control, like you said, black or white, you either did it, you didn't, you saved me, or you hurt me.
The only person I've ever heard admit that they're a bad person was Bishop and Juice.
Bishop and Juice. Everybody's a great person outside of that, right?
Yeah. Bishop ass was like, you know what? The first time you called me crazy, I was kind of tripping, right? But you know what?
Knew.
I am crazy. You know what else? I don't give a fuck.
But nobody's that honest with themselves, right? Nobody's ever that honest to look themselves in the mirror, because everybody wants to be a good person despite how they're doing. R. Kelly probably thinks he's a good person.
Yeah, we're all the stars of our own movie. R. Kelly even said it in that press conference. He was like, how y'all gonna do this to me? I thought he was spazzing out.
He was. I gave you all these records. I've done things to make up for the evil shit I was doing.
Yeah, which at the time, I don't know how we compartmentalize it, because if I do something bad, nowhere in the same atmosphere as that.
Preface
right?
that.
Right.
You got to.
But if I do something and it's bogus, automatically in my mind is already starting to create the narrative on why what I did, if it was bad, wasn't necessarily all that bad. Or here's the reason I had to do it. Or here's the woo, 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 woo. Like, I almost can't control it. Another shout out to my mom. My mom always would make a concerted effort to apologize to me if she did something that was super bogus, right? Or she felt that she did something super bogus. And she even told me once upon a time that she did it because she never got that experience when she was growing up. And you might not you think I never listen to you, but I do listen to you, and I'll keep that one close to my heart. If you happen to watch this, man, I love you. But that is hard to do. Apologizing sincerely is one of the hardest things imaginable, because again, I'm the star of my own movie. Like, I didn't write this part in the script. The apologizing?
Apologize for something?
Nah, I've been Arnold Schwarzenegger this whole time. Like, every bullet hits the target.
That's hard, bro.
You jump off a helicopter and land in 4 foot of water and walk away. I don't even twist my ankle. That's who I am in this movie. What you mean I apologize for what?
That's the toughest part, man. Because like you said, it shows, number one, that you're not the main character and that you are capable of doing harm, whether you meant it or not. Like, and I feel like that's the biggest thing we have to kind of grapple with, just like as people. Especially shout out to your mom too, because a black mama or black parent actually admitting they was wrong and apologizing. I think a lot of times too, like, product of our environment. Even though my parents would apologize, it was never like, hey, I'm sorry, because it was never like a situation where I thought how to apologize in a meaningful way versus, hey, son, let's go get some food. Let's go do. It was kind of like, let's go do something in response, right? So I've gotten a few apologies, and now I know what that looks like, but that took forever to kind of learn. To admit that you're wrong, I can apologize, but then to admit you were wrong and think about the wrong that you did and express that's that next level of apology versus saying, I'm sorry, get over it.
It is. It's hard. I would think it's hard to even apologize anymore with the way we live, because on a different scale, the thing somebody says or does is on the internet. And so on Monday, so there's that dude, I don't know if you ever watch No Jumper. I kind of got away from watching it.
I'm familiar with that. I didn't watch it a lot.
Well, there's one dude on there and one of the hosts, and I think he's really connected in L.A. Like he's really about that part. He picked a color, right? And I don't know their politics, so I'm not even going to mention what color, but just know he picked a color, and he's proud of it. And this dude, 4th of July just passed. This guy in particular, he's on his Instagram story, holding Elmer Fudd sticks. Damn. And hour or two later, next thing on his story, this gone. Blew it off. Right? And what was we just talking about?
Apologizing.
And he has his own narrative in his head. I forgot what we was talking about. I was trying to make a point, but then when I was talking about Buddy, I just remembered the picture of what his hand looked like afterward.
Shoot his hand out. That's crazy. Like, that's crazy. You can't apologize for that. That's
that's what I was saying. Like
social media too.
Social media, yeah. So he had his accident. This is all gone, right? Mm-hmm. One of that I think is Aaron the plumber. There's another social media, right. Well, as soon as this happened, they had beef. So as soon as the pictures came out that Buddy lost his spoon holder, the Aaron the plumber dude got on the thing because they picked different sides, and he got on and he was like, "Oh, Buddy, you gonna have trouble jugging now, homie." You know how L.A. cats talk. Hey, homie. Hey, Mark, you gonna have some trouble doing this, that, and the third. He was clapping. He was like, "Hey, homie, I'm gonna do this for you since you can't do it no more, Mark." Yeah. And I'm sure it got high in the street politics. So like the next day, the Aaron the plumber dude came out and was like, "Hey, bro, I'm sorry. I thought it was a hoax. He was like, I thought the thing was a hoax. I didn't know that it was that it was real. I just want to apologize for my woo. Now here's the thing. So Buddy's watching. He's in the hospital. He's getting all this taken care of, and then he comes back, and the first thing he's gonna see is old Buddy going, "Everybody clap your hands." He might, maybe see the first 3 seconds of, "Hey, bro, I'm sorry," but he ain't gonna pay attention to it.
That's it.
Because the one that got the most likes and the most views is what we have to address.
That's what we're going with.
Because now we're the pressure. Now we're the streets going, "Oh, you gonna let Buddy ass talk to you all crazy like that? You ain't gonna do nothing. What? Hey, bro, you better step up and woo. And so now he doesn't even have a choice to be diplomatic.
Him. Yeah, it's like you were saying with the with when you were going. You have to be that social person what people want you to be, right? That's all. Online is all fake, but I think we forget about that because we're connected to our personas and how people perceive us. So now I'm about to go do some real life stuff over some social media stuff that a lot of people would say is fake, but it's real in a lot of different real ways, right? So that's the hard part, bro. Because then it's like it's beyond social media at that point, man. Because everybody has something to say, and that's impacting money. That's impacting how people views, even though it shouldn't. But that's the world we're living in, man. That's
everything being on public record is hard to, because now people go back to but I said a whole bunch of stuff after that. Like I've changed my mind on a lot of things.
But it get that one life, particular thing.
Yeah, and like it'd be damn near like somebody coming out and trying to chastise me or hold me accountable for something I did when I was still drinking. Like I got drunk and I accidentally smacked the side of your car and then drove out of the parking lot without leaving my contact and insurance information on it. Yeah, I did it. I'm sorry. I literally done that before, and I'm apologize. But it's too late now. The statute of limitations is over. But you can't ask me now. What was I thinking then? I wasn't. And I apologize.
So with that being said, because when you take that account for it, right? Like, is that something that you feel like you should be apologizing for your entire life, even if that person still feels like it's wrong? How much personal accountability is it for you to make that right? Not in terms of just the drinking, but in terms of an official apology, right? Like what goes into an apology, and is that something that you have to continue to be apologetic for?
If you want to go around punching mountains, you probably shouldn't pick a lot of mountains. It's going to take a long time, and you got to be really dedicated to punch through a mountain. Social media is not the mountain I'm going to choose to punch. So right now it's standing tall, and it's saying, this is how I operate, and I'm not going to make a dent. So I'm not even going to try. Like, I'm going to observe the rules. I'll pay attention to the rules, and I'll just get along that way. If it gets too crazy for me, I'll just step away, and nobody will care. Nobody will notice that. That's all well and good. Yeah. But at the same time, like, I have to do what's being dictated by the culture, and social media is bigger than it is culture. It is every it's every it's the entire world. So I mean, 1 versus 8 billion. I'm not going to go against it. So however it is now, I see the rules. We all see the rules. We know that, Kadeem, when you blow up, 2025 is your year, and you blow up and you make it to the heights, you start making millions, I'm going to start looking at you sideways because I sent you a DM and asked if you can come back and do my show again. And since it gets lost in your 1,200 a day DMs, when you don't write me back and you're like, man, I got to make sure I look out for my broskies and all my day ones, and it just gets lost in the sea. Me, from my perspective, is this nigga changed, bro.
Up.
He different now. He used to talk about Ken Flores would get at everybody, and he can't even get at me. He's something. And I start motor scootering you up the wazoo. Like, we know that when you start reaching those heights and everybody thinks you got 10 times as much money as you actually do got.
Yep, that's it.
And those opportunities and changes start happening. It's like, all right, I got to keep it in perspective. And you're going to rise. You're going to hit that high point. And then the rest of us as a culture are going to want to see you fall.
That's it.
Now, the good news is, apparently still, from everything that I can see, America still wants the rise, the fall, and the rebirth. And we always do want the rebirth. But if you rise, you got a fall coming. It don't matter who you is, what you do, you got a fall coming.
That's true. And I agree with that, because on the same tip, right, if that does happen, where success, you're seeing it from one perspective, but it's also my perspective, right? I'm in places I haven't been before. People are knowing my name. I'm getting colored up. I'm getting connected to these big names in comedy, right? And then that I feel like ultimately, like I said, absolute power changes absolutely. If I'm hanging out with these big names in comedy and I see a message from the day ones, right, people that I've connected with, a lot of times I feel like most people, when you get to that point where you're seeing how the other side operates, it's an easy way to disregard the people who aren't at that level yet. So I see that as a way of, this is who I am now. Any traces of what I used to be, I don't want to be that person. And then that makes it easier to get into the hype of being that person, right? Because the come up is got to be crazy.
It is.
And that you're at the pinnacle. Like, why do I need to connect with these people? I'm talking to Dave Chappelle. I'm talking to Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Why do I need? So it's easy to lose sight of yourself when that type of fame and power gets to you.
Can I tell you from my perspective? There was a time I was on a tour with an amazing person. And she's still rocking out. Big shout out to cousin Tiara. Nice. There was a time that I was on a tour, right? And whenever I'd be back in town, I wouldn't, and I just go to a green room, and I would try to either not talk about it, or if somebody brought it up, I would really downplay it and try and move on. Let's talk about something else, because it's like, for me at the time, like, it felt like there wasn't really a way to talk about it without feeling like I was taking a doo-doo on somebody.
Yeah.
Or like handstanding. And then plus it's that paranoid side, like, I don't even wanna, you know what I mean? Like, you don't mention good news until it's locked in concrete. You know what I mean?
Some comics, they prey on your downfall too. That's hate.
Yeah.
That's how hate builds. So I feel that.
And then you also when you're at that place, at least for me, it was, I walk in a room and people's eyes start to look different. I see some eyes that are as bright as spotlights, and I see some eyes that look like cat eyes. And it could just be my own paranoia, But just because I'm paranoid doesn't mean somebody ain't trying to kill me.
For sure.
You know what I mean? And it's like, why are you looking at me like that? And my brain's going, because they want your spot. They don't think you're good enough. They think they should be there instead of you. Why are you looking at me like that? Oh, because they want to see what they can get out of you. They think you making $1 billion.
I'm featured. I'm hoping, and so hey, put me on so I can be the next person. Take your spot.
Whole time I'm running a fan because I don't want to turn the AC on in the crib because I'm like, oh, these bills.
And that it changes because then people they see you close to greatness or see you close to to a person coming up. They automatically think you have that, which is I'm still this was an opportunity in a lot of different ways, right? But people don't see that. People see you're close to that light. I want whatever light that's coming off of you now.
Yeah.
That's a scary man because you came back. It's not like I'm moving to LA. I got this connection. Yeah. So that's the crazy part. You came back here, and the people that you were on the come up with now see you as someone who made it. So a lot of times they see you as a threat.
There's levels to success, right? There's that first touch of success, and everybody's go get him, Tiger. And then there's that next level of success where people is like, man, what's so special about dude?
Exactly.
I was just doing Phil and Lisa's chuckles or laugh with him, and
I did better than him,
and he bombed. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
And now all of a sudden he's on who? He's on Netflix or what?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is crazy. And that's when people start putting out that aura for you to come down a little bit.
That's what they say. People want to see you do good, but just not better than them. And that's the thing, bro. And I still believe there's enough people here for everybody to win. I just think we have to change our idea of success. Like I was saying earlier, bro. Like, funny ass Tierra got everybody. Amazing comics. She does everything.
Genius.
Sometimes that's not your lane, right? If I can get like 50,000 people who rock with my niche comedy about TV shows, right? Yeah. That's a win for me because I've built a crowd, I've built a niche, I've built an audience amongst millions of people who are on social media looking for something.
And that brings it right back to the beginning. When you're talking about your niche, what you talk about on stage is a lot of your life. And that feels good to see you, brother, because then it feels like I'm walking away knowing more about you when I get to see you. By the way, also hella funny. By the way, the shows that you've produced in the past and hopefully produce in the future are extremely dope. Do me a favor. Could you let the audience know where they can find you, what you got going on, any plugs that you got?
For sure, you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok, Full of Funny, FULLA, funny. I got a few things, man. I'm in development with a lot of different content creation ideas, bro. So I'm on the come up. So like, hit me. The price gonna go up in the next couple of years if I ever make it up out of here.
Yeah, hell yeah. He's in development, and his cutoff shorts is also in development. They're gonna be upgraded to Daisy Dukes.
These bitches was like,
you thought you was safe.
I was trying to figure this out.
He's wearing diesel jeans in 2025.
Nigga, like I'm going to Gilligan's Island with this shit. I'm shipwrecked. Nigga, a horrible mistake.
There's some holes in this house. There's some holes. Yo, holy moly. I am Mike Knight. This is a Real Rap Podcast. Make sure, please, if you enjoy this content, like, share, subscribe. We talked about some heavy stuff, so please write some comments. Let us know what you're thinking. I respond to everybody. At Mike Knight Comedy on all the platforms. Keep tuning in. There's more in store, man. Been Mike Knight. This is the one and only Kadeem Fuller Real Rap Podcast. Love y'all. Peace.
Peace. That was cool, bro. Thanks for having me.